Welcome back to the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. What we do here is shine the light of truth on the deep state. They hate that. We do it figuratively with our presentations. We do it literally with our sponsor's product, PatriotLegacy.com. PatriotLegacy.com, featured product of theirs, the Patriot Beacon. 6 overall lighting functions. In addition, solar powered, don't need batteries. You can charge your other devices like your phone from it. In addition, you got a compass, you got a window breaking hammer, and you got a seatbelt cutter. Plus, if those deep state dweebs get just a little bit too close to you, blast them with this. They're gone. Go to patrioticlegacy.com, patrioticlegacy.com. Get yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your car. Can carry it with you anytime. patrioticlegacy.com, the Patriot Beacon. Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings in my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, is to provide you information the bought-off, lamestream fake media will not touch or not present. You can join us for the radio show. It's live, and it's on every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern, much to the chagrin of the deep state. Very easy for you to do to join us. Great analysis, great guests, great information you're not going to get from the fake media. All you have to do is go to davejanda.com, Sundays from 2 to 5 Eastern. Go hit the Listen Live button in the middle of the homepage, toward the top. That'll take you to Wham Talk 1600 streaming for service. Hit play, and you're part of the show. We tackle subjects that the deep state and their puppets don't want us to go anywhere near. How do we know that? The blowback we get. We hope you'll become part of our Freedom family. Join us on Sundays. Join us on the website, davejanda.com, both the free side, the public side, as well as the subscription side with extra shows, extra content, extra guests, and access to all of our archives. Today's topic is about a nasty combination: illness and politicians. Nasty combo. I want to set the foundation of this because this is not going to be a very pretty presentation as far as what I'm going to be telling you. It's going to maybe upset some of you, and some of you it's going to not make very happy. But 32 years I practiced as a treating physician and surgeon. And there are times you have to tell the patient things that they don't want to hear, that they don't want to believe. But as a treating physician, you can't hide the facts from your patient. You have to find a way to present the information and the data in a path forward. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. My dad, who I quote fairly often, in times of trouble, used to say, quote, "Panic is easy. A measured, rational approach is what is difficult in times of trouble," end quote. So let's talk about illness. And let's talk about politicians and how they unfortunately feed off each other. And in some cases, make our country and the citizens more vulnerable. There are folks out there who say that this virus is a hoax, that it doesn't exist, that this is all smoke and mirrors. My answer to those folks is, if you're living in an area that has not been affected by the virus, I'm happy for you. I really am. That's good. But I'm based in Southeast Michigan, and things have changed in Southeast Michigan. Last Monday, the 23rd, the case fatality rate for the virus around our country was 1.3%. The case fatality rate is determined, and we've talked about this before. the number of people who have died, in this case from the coronavirus, divided by the number of people who have tested positive for that virus. On March 23rd, Monday, the case fatality rate for the United States was 1.3, and for Michigan was 0.8. Not 80%, not 8%, not 1.8%, but 0.8%. We were well below the national average as far as the impact the virus was having on our state, and let alone Southeast Michigan. My friends who remain on the front line of healthcare delivery, who I worked with for many cases over 30 years, told me that when the virus hits people, it hits hard. And in particular, they gave some guidelines which were very similar to what we've heard nationally and internationally. Those who are elderly, 70 and older. Those, no matter what the age, who are immunocompromised or have existing medical conditions, cardiac, heart troubles, lung troubles, underlying kidney issues, diabetes, obesity, bone marrow issues, those who are on chemotherapy. Those individuals are more vulnerable. If someone is ill, these are all the people who are most vulnerable and should, if you will, remain home so that they don't get the virus and so that they don't spread the virus. So those who are elderly, those who are ill, those, no matter what the age, who are immunocompromised, those with underlying medical conditions, someone who has someone in their home that's ill should stay home. Or if the person has traveled to a viral hotspot, either internationally or at that time the viral hotspots in our country, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, but now and now New York has obviously popped up, and New Orleans, and Southeast Michigan. We'll get to that in a second. Those are the folks who are most vulnerable to the virus. And my friends have told me, who deal with this on a daily basis, in ICUs, in emergency rooms, in the hospitals, as an outpatient, that when people get this, the vast majority of folks, 80+% of folks, here's the good news, have mild symptoms, flu-like symptoms, if you want to call that mild. I've had the flu several times many years ago, and I'll tell you, it can beat you up. But there's a mild version of this virus, which 80% folks get, is mild, minimal symptoms. There's a moderate where the symptoms are more moderate, more severe, and then there's the severe. And you got about 14 to 15% in those last two categories combined. Many people are frustrated because of the lack of control they have over these shelter-in-place orders. And I get that. I have those same feelings. Get frustrated, get angry. We're not wired as Americans to be home all the time. We're wired to be doing stuff, getting stuff done, focusing on accomplishments and making our communities better, and getting out there and working with people and networking with people. But there are some things we can do ourselves to try to minimize the risk of this virus on ourselves, on our families, on our communities, on our states, and on our country. Well, what are they? Many people accuse me of trivializing my approach to this virus by the recommendations I have made in the past. I'm not trivializing anything. This virus is killing people. It's putting a lot of people in ICUs. It's shut our country down. That's why I call it a freedom-stripping virus. Yes, the virus emanated from China. And just so happened, I'm sure it's a coincidence, not, that the virus reared its head in China right when the freedom movement was moving from Hong Kong into mainland China. You haven't heard much of their freedom movement, have you, lately? And then that virus was walked over to the United States. And initially, LA, San Francisco, Seattle were hit. But as that virus was also walked into Italy and Europe. And as folks traveled from Europe and Italy into New York and from China into New York, all of a sudden, New York became a hot spot. And now New Orleans has become a hot spot, and Southeast Michigan has become a hot spot. What can we do? And this is not trivializing. This is at least having some semblance of a control of the viral load you expose yourself to. Wash your hands frequently. Countless people have made fun of me about this. I stand behind it. I've been talking about that for 3 months. Wash your hands when you wake up. Wash your hands before meals. Wash your hands after meals. Wash your hands before you go to bed. Wash your hands if you've gone outside and moving garbage cans around. Wash your hands if you pick something off the floor. Wash your hands after you've tied your shoes. Wash your hands with warmer water. Soap is key. We've talked about that. That the soap denatures bacteria's cell structures and also the coating on viruses. And I also, when I'm done washing my hands, put that foam on my hands. Or you can put sanitizer on your hands, but just realize the sanitizer doesn't give you hours worth of protection. Push fluids. Water. Tonic water. Tonic water has quinine in it. Tastes a little bitter, but there might be some beneficial effects. Maybe not many, but there might be some beneficial effects of the quinine in tonic water. Push fluids. Reduce your sugar intake. Reduce your alcohol intake. Why? I'm not trying to be a killjoy. I like cookies as much as anybody. But sugar and alcohol allow viruses to work better in your system. If you smoke, stop it. This virus specifically attacks lungs. Smoking damages your lungs, not just cigarettes, but so does pot, so does vaping. Stop it across the board. Exercise. I know. There are some politicians that seem to be working in conjunction with the virus that say, you shouldn't exercise. You shouldn't go outside out of your house. Stop it. Okay, I can see not playing a street basketball game. I get it, okay? But going for a walk, going for a bike ride, come on. You need it. Not only for your physical well-being, but your mental well-being. Get your sleep in. Sleep is important. At the end of the day, when you brush your teeth, or in the morning when you also brush your teeth, use disposable paper cups. I spritz my toothbrush with hydrogen peroxide afterwards. And one of the things we focused on in our series with Dr. Peter Glidden is boosting your immune system. Those videos are available for you. We just uploaded another video with Peter this past Saturday. What this does is this creates a fortress around your body. All these items combined are protecting yourself from the virus. So the problem is, actually the president's made it very easy, right? You see Pence handing this thing, holding this thing up, and the president holding this thing up. The 15 days to slow the spread, well, that's now changed, I guess, to 45 degrees to slow the spread. But these are all recommendations. It's very similar to the ones I just gave you. But you can go to coronavirus.gov, and it's right there. 15 days to slow the spread, but we're going to apparently go 45 days. The virus is bad enough. But unfortunately, there have been some folks in the political world that have strayed off the rails. And they've added actually insult to injury. And basically what we need is less politics, the creation of less fear and panic, And we need more rationality. A congresswoman from Michigan, Haley Stevens, had some gloves on and she was speaking in Congress. She wasn't speaking, she was screaming in Congress and waving her hands, talking about dark days and all this. That's irrationality. That's panic. That induces fear. That is not helpful. She needs to go away. Her behavior and what she did on the floor of Congress, that every major media outlet picked up, of course, because it fed right into the deep state's panic, fear, chaos model. She needs to go away. But our elected representatives from Michigan have not only had deleterious effects on our country in Washington, then spilling over to every state in the union, but we've had some issues with our governor in the state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. If you listened to my radio show this past Sunday, you got a hint of what it was about. We're a hot spot in Michigan. My friends told me that I started getting calls last Tuesday night. Things changed, Dave. Big. The ERs are crowded. The floors are crowded. And the ICUs are crowded with patients who have the virus. And as I mentioned early on, there are people that state that the virus, well, it doesn't exist. No, it does exist. Or people are making too big a deal out of it. They're not. The hotspots are real. I have friends all over the country that work in those hotspots. And many of them don't know the other person. And they're all saying the same thing. That when this hits, it hits like a big wave. And people get really sick really fast. And people die. I know there are videos on the internet of people saying, well, look at this emergency room. It's not very busy. Good. I'm happy for that community. But understand something. Right now, many of the folks that have coronavirus are shuttled to particular regional centers. Many people have put videos up walking through hospitals, taking pictures of the empty halls, saying, see, there are no patients here. Well, it could be that, well, you want to get as many people out of the hospital as possible because let's face it, hospitals are probably the germiest place you're ever going to go in your life. You want to get sick? Stay in the hospital for a long time. And a lot of those folks, the elective cases have all been canceled across the country. Good. It frees up more resources, more personnel. But it also makes it so that those that would have had elective procedures and that would have to be admitted to the hospital, let's say just overnight, aren't exposed to those coming in that are ill. So hospitals have been trying to, if you will, cordon off the areas where they have their coronavirus patients so that they're isolated. And the other floors, those patients are moved out. Now, obviously, emergencies occur and there have to be some patients come in. But my friends around the country and my friends right here in Southeast Michigan are all saying the same thing. Could they all be lying to me? I guess they could. But I doubt it. Why do I doubt that? Because who these people are and how they tell me about what's going on. They are not happy. They are not panicked, but they're really concerned. You can tell it in their voices. You can see it in their faces. They also know that in folks that deal with me, you don't lie to me. It's just not a good way of doing business with me. If you want to give me bad news, give me bad news. Don't sugarcoat it. And above all, don't lie. They're not lying. The virus is real. And when it hits hard. And I'm really glad that a big chunk of the country isn't seeing this. I hope they never do. But they might. And if they do, they, before it hits, need to take the steps the president has outlined with his coronavirus task force and what I outlined today. It's critical. But when the politicians get in the mix, they can help or they can hurt. And in Michigan, we've had a lot of hurt from the politicians, and in particular, the governor. I don't say this from a political perspective. I'm coming at this from a medical perspective and someone who's been involved in public health and prevention for over 35 years. It is beyond disturbing what has happened in this state. Our case fatality rate last Monday was 0.8. A week later, it was 2.3%. 3 times as high. 3 times as high. We are a hotspot. My friends confirmed that statistic based on what they're seeing and experiencing in emergency rooms and in ICUs and on floors across the state. My friends who are infectious disease experts tell me with this disease and this illness, you have to look at what happened 2 weeks before. So all the sheltering in place that we've been doing for the last week and a half or so, and 2 weeks for our country, the 15-day deal, we haven't really seen the positive ramifications of those actions yet. But remember what I said. Last Monday, we were doing pretty good in Michigan. And then all of a sudden, Tuesday night into Wednesday, this wave started of illness related to the virus. So you got to go back 2 weeks. What was 2 weeks before that? March 10th. What was March 10th? Oh. It was the primary. It was the election primary that Governor Whitmer decided should go ahead. Why? Because she was backing Joe Biden, and they needed to get him across the finish line and get Sanders out. She was a big proponent of having this election pulled off. And she got him across the finish line. And he was so happy about that. Since then, he's talked about her being possibly the number 2 person on the ticket. Yeah. You want something that happened 2 weeks ago in Michigan? There you go. People are saying, why is New Orleans a hot spot? Go back 2 weeks. Mardi Gras. The mayor of New Orleans allowed that to happen. So did the governor. Should have shut it down. The ramifications of those poor political decisions put people in harm's way. It's interesting. I want to take you through the timeline here in Michigan. Primary happened March 10th. Monday, March 23rd, Governor Whitmer comes out and it issues a shelter-in-place order. Essential businesses and pretty much everything's not essential. There are some essential businesses. If you're in an essential business, you have to have a letter documented from your employer that you're an essential employee. I know people who have been pulled over wanting to know why they're on the road. And, if you will, show us your papers. If that doesn't take you back to 1940s, nothing will. So she had her press conference on March 23rd, issued a shelter-in-place order. And the justification for that, because remember, at the time, our case fatality rate was 0.8. The country's average was 1.3. We were less. People were like, why? Well, she said, what's the data? And she presented a model from an organization called COVID Act Now. Oh, this data says, big trouble, especially here in Michigan. Big trouble. You have to implement it. Well, actually, some of us took the time to research COVID Act 1, the organization, in their research. Guess what we found out? It was bogus. It was a bunch of political hacks making stuff up. They also networked that information to all these other governors around the country and the feds. They all bought into it until they looked at it. A little too late. Dr. Deborah Birx on the Coronavirus Task Force analyzed it, and she came out and she said it's fraudulent. It's bad data. So the question is, why did Whitmer issue that shelter-in-place order? I mean, let's face it, shutting down an economy doesn't create more prosperity. It creates more poverty, more people destitute, more hunger, more disease, and more illness. It also should be noted that 3 days before she issued that order, her and her team stopped reporting negative test results. Okay, why is that important? Because look, the vast majority of folks that think they have coronavirus, because they're symptomatic, they're not hypochondriacs, they're symptomatic, and they go and they get tested, on average across the country, 90% of people, when they get tested, their test comes back negative for coronavirus. Well, that's good. I mean, they have the flu, one version or other of the flu, A or B. They have another type of virus. They have another type of illness. But the good news is they don't have the coronavirus. 90% of folks that go to get tested, convinced that they got the coronavirus, don't. Good. But the politicians like to present the number of increased cases, the number of deaths. Do they present the number of people recovered? No. Did they present the number of people that came in for the test that were negative? Well, Michigan had for a while, and then 3 days before this shelter-in-place directive came in, guess what? They vanished from the website. So people like me started shooting their mouths off, saying, wait a minute, treat us like adults. If you're going to give us the bad data, give us all the data. Well, it just so happens because we put a lot of pressure on the governor. After a couple days, she coughed up the negative numbers again. Okay, good. And then people with big mouths like myself start saying, wait a minute, this COVID Act 1 organization is fraudulent. You got Dr. Birx talking about it's fraudulent. This Imperial College that you're quoting is bogus. What are you talking about? Then she holds a press conference last week after a bunch of us shut our mouths off about this, saying, well, our models weren't that great, but, we're going to work with the University of Michigan to create better models. Well, good. But by then, the surge hit here on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it hasn't stopped since.